Hello everyone and welcome to my YouTube channel. This is my first real YouTube video I'm making, so I apologize if it's not the best quality because I don't really know what I'm doing. But today I will be talking about season 1 of China, Illinois, one of my favorite shows of all time, even though I watched it less than a year ago. But I'm only talking about season 1 because there's 3 whole seasons, and that might not sound like a lot, but I feel like for a random Adult Swim comedy show, it kind of is.
See you when you see ya, man, I see you when you see ya. China, Illinois, China, Illinois, China, Illinois, China, Illinois, China, Illinois, Illinois, man, China, Illinois, China, Illinois, yeah.
What is China, Illinois? So China, Illinois is an Adult Swim series made by Brad Neely in 2008. The characters come from his series I'm Baby Cakes and the Professor Brothers, which I would love to talk about in the future, but I don't know as much about them, and I kind of don't even know that much about China, Illinois. I just know that I like it, and I really wanted to talk about it. Like I said, the show lasted for 3 seasons. So this video will just be about season 1, China, Illinois. Let me tell you a bit more about it. It follows the worst university in America. And it just happens to be in Illinois, where I'm from. So I'm a little biased because I love me some Illinois rep. That isn't Chicago. No hate to Chicago. I'm just not from there. But it follows the worst college in America, the University of China, Illinois, UCI. In China, Illinois, there are a lot of characters. It's a whole university, but there are 4 main characters. Steve Smith, who's voiced by Brad Neely, Frank Smith, who is voiced by Brad Neely, Baby Cakes, who is voiced by Brad Neely, and Pony Merks, who is voiced by Greta freaking Gerwig. Yes, you heard me. Greta freaking Gerwig. Yeah, the lady who made the Barbie movie. Yeah, she plays Pony Merks. And I will hold all further comments on that. So now I'm going to just give a little summary, I guess, of the main characters and the side characters, the repeat side characters of the season at least. And yes, this is a description of the characters, but this is also how I see them, so it might be slightly inaccurate. The first character I mentioned, Steve Smith, is the head of the history department, so he's kind of a big deal. He loves the ladies, and he's a pretty good smooth talker. Like, he's very charismatic. Everyone loves Steve, and everything seems easy for him, and it is most of the time. And, you know, because of that, he sees himself as better than his little brother, Frank. Frank is just a normal history teacher. He's a total dork. And he kind of is just like Steve, just not as charismatic and doesn't know how to be smooth and suave like he is. And he's so sassy, but he's a total freak. Total freak. Frank is a freak. If that's the only takeaway you get from this video, it's Frank is a freak. Sorry. Baby Cakes, he is so chill. He's kind of like, to me at least, the main character. He's pretty chill. He does a lot of stupid stuff. And he's been in school for forever. Him and Steve are the same age basically, but he's Steve's student. So that's a whole different thing. But he has wonderful ideas, and his dad is Professor Cakes. And I'll talk about him later. The last of the main characters is Pony Merks, who is a history TA. She's not specifically one professor's TA, which is kind of silly. She's kind of just the errand girl for the history department. And she, like everyone else, is basically an alcoholic. Like, you're in a college town, what else are you gonna be? She is also Mexican, and that is a big part of her personality throughout the entire show. She's gonna put herself first. She knows what she wants most of the time, I think. And she's gonna get it. She's determined most of the time. I guess she's all over the place. those are the main characters. Now I will be going into the repeat side characters of season 1. As the seasons go on, like I said, so many more characters come into play, but these are the repeat characters of season 1. First, we have the Dean, of course, who's played by Hulk Hogan, and he's a total meathead. Of course you're gonna be when you're played by Hulk Hogan, but he is the Dean of school, as his name says. The next character is Agent Green, voiced by Andy Richter, who is just a CIA agent. He pops up a couple of times in the show, but he doesn't really do much. I feel like he's just a background character that we're supposed to know, but he does have a repeat couple of speaking lines throughout the series. Next is the mayor, who is played by Tommy Blachaw. Sorry, I didn't look at any names ahead of the time from, recording, because I just want to talk about China, Illinois. That's what I'm here to talk about. So I will be saying names wrong, and I will get better about that. But yes, the mayor is the mayor. Of course, he's a very holy man, and he talks in third person, which makes that combo so much more funny. Next, we have Harold, who is voiced by Jason Alexander, and he is a history professor. He is so normal, the most normal dude ever, maybe, in the history of China, Illinois. Next is Gary Falgett. No one calls him by his first name. They always call him Falgett, which I know sounds a lot like a word, but it's not. But he is played by Gary Anthony Williams and is a science professor at the university. And he is the most reasonable, which is not the most reasonable you could be. Crystal Peppers is next. She's a goat. She's played by Chelsea Peretti, and she is a Spanish professor, but she started out as a history professor, like Steve. And she's assumed to be trans, which I think is awesome for a 2008 show. She is very competitive. That is a staple throughout the show. All of the teachers are competitive, but I feel like she is one of the more competitive. Next, we have Professor Cakes, who is voiced by Jeffrey Tambor, who is the head of the science department at China, Illinois. He is Baby Cake's dad, of course, and he's a single father who basically has to raise this already grown man because he doesn't act like a man. He has to take care of him. He has to do all this stuff. And he's doing the best he can, which is not saying a lot. The last professor that is a repeat character throughout the series, the whole series, is Sammy Davis, who is voiced by Jason Walden. She's a history professor, and she's essentially just a horny old lady. And that's fine. She can be a horny old lady. I like her. I think she's great.
Well, there's something I've been meaning to tell you about the college on the edge of the town. No one should ever go there. You know it's bad, bad, bad. It gets worse every school year, but then the freaking teachers are rad.
Episodes in season 1. There's a total of 10. They're about 11 minutes each, and they normally have an A and B plot. And to be honest, I just learned what an A and B plot was. I thought it was just a different way to say there's one plot and there's another. But I'm not going to be clarifying which is A and B plot, so you can go watch it and find out for yourself.
You guys like presidents? Here's Ronald Reagan. Well, I like to kiss butts, and I love to smell farts. And I'm gonna blow us all up. Shut up, Nancy. I can do whatever I want.
Forget the last contestant. Steve wins.
So, the first episode is Rewind, Pause, Play. Every season of China, Illinois will have a Reagan episode. And this starts the tradition. Steve Smith, as a young boy, went and performed in a live talent show and wins it with his crazy ass Reagan impression. Everyone's peeing their pants, everyone's loving it. But not Reagan. He gets so pissed, he invents a time traveling machine so he can go back and mess with Steve's whole life and basically ruin it for him. I don't think his life's ruined. I think he's doing okay. Steve needs to go back with the government and perform in a new talent show so they can bring Reagan back and stop him. But who else performed in that talent show? Or I guess didn't. Frank. The original talent show? Steve was too good, they didn't even let him perform. They didn't even let him try because no one could be his impression. So Frank, his whole life, basically up until this point, it's like, God, I really wanted to do that. So they also let him do that. Those are the two things that happen in this episode. Steve and Reagan fight, and Frank getting to perform in a talent show.
Man wants to know what the Dean will do about the sin damage they made.
You got city workers to clean it.
Dean don't belong in our God-fearing town.
There is no God. No God, no God, no God, no God. Just us people trying to party before we die.
Episode number 2 is Dean versus Mayor. Dean is so passionate about his school, so proud of it, that every time they win something, even a mathlete competition, they destroy the town, cueing one of the first non-intro songs in China, Illinois. It's not, I guess it's more of like a little, I was gonna say ditty, but a little jingle for China, Illinois, just saying China, Illinois is the best at math. And they are because they won. But they destroy the town and the mayor gets really pissed off because, you know, that's his town, and challenges the dean to an arm wrestling match. The winner gets the other's property. So the mayor wins, he gets the school. If the dean wins, he gets the town. The dean was like, duh, of course I'm gonna win. But he doesn't. And so the mayor claims Frank as his example. He's gonna make an example out of him. And Frank's like, I'm not even gonna fight it. I love getting power. I love listening to authority figures. So he's a traitor to the whole school and is the mayor's right-hand man in his crazy religion camp. The teachers have to wear uniforms, everything. So Pony and Steve are fighting to get Dean to get his mojo back because they just want China, Illinois to be China, Illinois again. But Frank, being selfish, just wants to be respected and have power, and I guess that's okay for him. But he really could do that any other way. And so it's kind of brother versus brother, and also Dean versus mayor, okay?
Pony, you're needed at the milk pumps.
BC, boobs don't work that way. I make no milk.
Not yet. It's like a Frosty. You just gotta keep sucking that straw.
Episode 3 is called Baby Boom. This episode has the first full song about taking care of a giant baby. The giant baby came from the lab that Professor Cakes was working in because he accidentally knocked over someone's donated sperm onto an embryo while he was trying to hook up with his lab assistant / student. It's very messy. Messy enough to make a giant-ass baby who kills a bunch of people, including the professor named Hank. R.I.P. Hank.
Okay, so his name's not Hank. His name is Harold. I got a little carried away. I got a little too excited. That's my bad.
But, you know who isn't dead? Frank. But he might as well be because he's going to go to debtor's prison if he doesn't pay back his debt. Now, I wonder how a giant baby and debtor's prison connect. But that is for you to find out. Also, before I move on to the next episode, I think it gives a kind of funny commentary on abortion, even though it objectively states killing a giant baby and dealing with it is not cut and dry like abortion.
Frank, where have you been? I see.
Listen, last night I was attacked by a moist spirit. Have you guys seen any activity?
Oh, I see activity, all right. No activity here. Just in there.
Get off of me, Pony. I'm fragile right now.
Okay, let's put an end to this ghost so I can focus on keeping our jobs. Here we go, paranormal investigators.
Paranormal investigators. Yeah, it is me.
Episode 4 is coming out the casket. You know the dead professor I just told you about? From the last episode? This episode starts at his funeral, and the dean being the dean is like, yes, this is a funeral, but I'm gonna make this about the school. Because your history professor, your other history professor, is now dead, and Crystal Peppers, being the goat she is, transferred to Spanish, history is lame and no one wants to take it. So, Steve is like, God, I really need history to be good. Because he's a department head. Of course he's gonna need it to be good. He needs students to sign up. And unbeknownst to him, a dead man is in love with his brother. Harold comes back to life and wants to be in a homosexual relationship with Frank. And that's totally okay, except Frank doesn't like him. But Steve needs them to be together to keep his nuts. Yes, to keep his nuts. Didn't say this earlier, but him and Crystal betted on their testicles. They said whoever gets the least amount of signatures gets their nuts cut off. So it's kind of a lot on the line. And yes, both Steve and Frank are being selfish, but it's also one guy's losing his nuts and one guy is temporarily dating a ghost. And the ghost has magical powers to talk to other dead people, dude. Duh. Sorry, I'm just a Steve sympathizer.
Stop barking. Quiet, little baby. Which explains 9/11. Excuse me.
Episode 5 is Secret Society. Steve gets tenured and Pony blackmails the dean into tenuring her because she catches him doing some unfavorable things for a married man. Let's just say that. And so, due to their tenure, Pony and Steve get into a little bit of shenanigans, shall we say. And they do some animalistic things. I wonder what that could mean. Anyway, Frank is really jealous of Pony's tenure because she got it out of nowhere. And Frank, of course, is jealous. It's Frank. So, I quote, he just wants to fuck it up for her. He wants to find out what she's doing, how she got her tenure, and ruin it for her. And that is very Frank to do. And I guess he sort of does, but not in the way you would really expect. No, he doesn't even really ruin it for her. She ruins it for herself. Sorry, Frank.
Drunkenness, a 4. Come on, you squares. Pheromone output. 9. Lastly, watchability. Do a pose. Gross.
The 6th episode of China, Illinois Season 1 is called Prom Face-Off. Dean holds a faculty prom that's, again, kind of a competition to get a car. Everyone loves competing in this town. Sorry, I heard someone in the hallway. The prom queen and the prom king, well, they don't each get a car. I guess they just share it. But regardless, everyone wants it. And they can only go to prom if they have a date. So, Baby Cakes wants to go to the prom, but he doesn't have a date. But then stuff happens and he finds one, but not someone he should be dating. So there's that. Then we have Steve and Pony, who didn't find dates, they just go with each other. Make a bet for respect that whoever, gets a date first, steals someone else's date at the prom, will get the other's respect. Then you have Frank, who's just there because he wants to get in the pants of a really hot lady who also works at the school. So it kind of stems away from A-B plot, more so goes into ABC plot, which is like the rest of the show, which I kind of like. It's kind of like a warm-up to what's to come.
I can't believe you hang out with that monster.
Wait, look, that's the mayormobile.
Not on my turf. Oh, look out! You in charge? You in charge? Man wants to know who in charge around here, amen.
Get off of my monster.
Episode, I believe this is 7, is called Chinese New Year. For the end of the semester, before break, Dean decides, I'm gonna fail my students because I hate all of them. I hate every last one of my students. And he's having a big old laugh about this, but the mayor isn't. And he says, on behalf of the governor,
if you don't reteach these students, your school is becoming an airport.
So Dean's not gonna have that. So he makes all the professors, well, quote unquote, makes all the professors reteach the whole semester in 1 week. They're lazy. They don't want to. They find a way around it. But this way around it is not good and causes so many more problems. And Frank gets freaky. Let's just say that. So the really two big plots of this episode are Frank and his freakness and getting the students to pass. There's a little bit more I'm not saying just because a lot goes on in these 11 minutes. And I want you to watch it for yourself. Yes, you. Yeah, you. So I'm not telling you everything, of course. Great episode. Really funny. And I love me some good Dean Mayer beef.
Damn it, Dean. Now you know that's against the rules.
Sorry, Falcon.
Episode 7 is Frank and Steve.
So, this is actually episode 8. Totally not episode 7. That was the last episode.
Of course, you know, Dean doesn't like his students. Of course he's gonna make his faculty to do something instead of them. So, it's a faculty wrestling team. And Steve and Frank, they're like sorta kinda good. Everyone else is terrible. But also, Frank asks Steve for some relationship advice, trying to get with a student he's teaching. And Steve's like, let me give you some advice. And then he does, and then he, you know, dates that student instead, because he's Steve. And Frank is pissed, of course. But then, the two of them both get into freak wrestling accidents. And then must deal with the results of a less than regulation surgery, and also with the problems that Steve made for the two of them because he's dating a girl that Frank really wanted to date, and Steve doesn't even like her, but he's like, I can't break up with her because then Frank will date her and that means he wins. So more brother conflict. Love me some brother conflict.
Facebook just digs up shit from your past that you'd rather not chat with.
No. I think it would help him branch out. What do you say?
I can slay you.
Episode 8. No. This is episode 9. This is the Dream Reamer. With the hands down best song of China, Illinois. Okay? This follows Baby Cakes. And Baby Cakes is a killer. Thriller Killzilla. He's a warrior. But he also had an old friend called the Dream Reamer, who he hasn't been in contact with a long time, but everyone is sick of him talking about his warrior stuff to them, so he's like, go, ponies essentially, go on Facebook. Steve protests because he's better than Facebook, of course. But he goes on Facebook and finds the Dream Reamer, and then he must put a stop to his tyranny because he friends everyone else Baby Cakes knows and tries to ruin their whole life. But Baby Cake's not having that. He's a hero. He's a warrior. It's warrior's code to fight for justice, basically. And that's what he does. And not only does this song have fire bars, Baby Cakes is an incredible rapper, and this sets an incredible precedent for the music and the future of the show. And everyone who knows China, Illinois knows the Baby Cakes rap.
This game here is just a dinky scavenger hunt. We're the blood.
Friends, this year I will give you an action movie.
Oh, cool. Movies are better than people. You don't have to smell who you're watching.
Yes, this year, they will kill.
They won't kill. It's not like they're fighting for Barbados.
Oh, Barbados, nice. What's a Barbados?
And the last episode, episode 10, is the Dean's List. And, you know, the Dean's List is something good, something you want to get on. But no, not here. Of course not in China, Illinois. Nothing is normal here. The Dean's List is a draft for the Hunger Games, essentially. The Dean always hosts some sort of competition, pits the departments against each other for the elites of China, Illinois, which Baby Cakes happens to be involved in for some reason. He's literally just a dude. Yeah. But the elites of China, Illinois love to watch this Hunger Games. And to make it even more high stakes, a trip to Barbados is on the line. So we follow the fat cats of China, Illinois, watching these people go crazy, and these departments, all of these departments, killing each other just for a trip to Barbados. So I guess that says a lot about China, Illinois as a whole. Not as a series, but as a school. You're willing to kill for Barbados, and I guess any reasonable person would be. So, yeah. Anyway, great episode. And that was all 10 episodes of season 1 of China, Illinois. I know I said I'd go over A and B plots. I just realized as I was recording this, no, I did not. So, I take it back. I've just kind of talked about the 2 plots. Not for all of them, but it is what it is. And I know I was saying you should watch it. That you should watch it. So I'm going to tell you where you can watch it. As of early April 2025, you can watch it on Sling TV. This is what I personally use to watch it on my TV when I'm at home. When I am just watching it on my laptop, I just go to Adult Swim's website. But it's also on Amazon Prime. I think you have to pay extra for it. Of course you do, it's Amazon Prime. With Hulu, you can use live TV to get it. Of course you have to. And I don't have Apple TV or Fandango at home, so I didn't check it, but Google said it was on there. You can also watch it other places, you know, other places. I don't endorse pirating. Yeah, but to wrap this up, after telling you all about what China, Illinois is, sort of not all about, like very base level information about the episodes and where to watch them, I just wanted to, you know, get your guys' opinion on the video. This is my first YouTube video. It's kind of just me talking at you just for background noise, you know. I hope you enjoyed. You know, if you didn't, I'm so sorry. If you did, I'd love to hear about it. And I guess I'd like to hear about it if you didn't. So feel free to comment. Also feel free to not, you know, you do you. Thanks for watching and sticking around this whole time. I hope you stay tuned for the rest of the stuff I upload. So see you around, hopefully.